Welcome back to Mama's Garage. Mammaw.
Mammaw.
That's right. My mama's mama.
Yep.
That's right. Mama's Garage Senior.
Oh my.
Well,
now I'm a senior. Well,
now
I am a senior.
This is technically our second podcast episode together. Not that we did this in any sort of formal fashion.
I didn't have headgear then.
No, you did not. This was. Do you remember how that went? We talked about it briefly earlier, but I want to hear your side first, and I'll.
You asked me questions, and
That's right. I did it for school.
yes,
Yes.
for school.
Mm-hmm. And I re-listened to that thing today, and it's just a snooze fest. I can't. I was so. Maybe because I knew it was for school, I didn't want to be myself on air. But
Let's get an aspirin.
you didn't. What's wrong?
Go ahead, keep talking to me.
All right, for sure. Okay, I'll update everybody. You're getting an aspirin?
Yeah.
All right, she lasted about a minute. All right. Well, anyway, for those who are still listening, yeah, it was for. Oh, you can hear everything, can't you? Damn. It was for hashtag or a shout out to Donna Peterson. She's my U.S. history teacher from my junior year. She asked us to record a conversation with a relative, someone much older. So I was like, oh, I'll ask Mammaw. And I asked you questions like, what was your first memory and stuff like that. And I hadn't heard, that was 3 years ago because it was April 19th, 2022. I was still I was 16. I was still in school still. And a little story I did not remember from that conversation, nor did I remember it from childhood, came up. What can you tell me about Petey the bird?
He died. he died.
Do you remember how?
My mom hit him in the head with a shoe.
Because
We went to the drive-in, and we came home that night. My sister went to put her pajamas on, and she felt something in the arm, and she thought it was a mouse or something. So she threw her shirt down, started screaming. Mom come up, saw a little movement, took a shoe and hit it, and then we found out it was Petey our bird. He'd gotten loose out of the cage.
Yeah. Well, that's a pretty sad story, but it does make me laugh very hard, and I apologize.
Well, we were upset.
Oh, I imagine, yeah.
You killed Petey!
It's a perfect little bird name, too. Little Petey the bird.
It was.
That's very funny.
And I don't remember the color of him. I want to say yellow.
Probably red at the end. Covered in red at the end. On account of the bird blood, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So, Mammaw, when did you and I meet? About 20 years ago, right?
About.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be 20 in about 3.5 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. 3 weeks from this Saturday. That's
Oh my.
I know. Nothing's gonna change. I'll have the same life I have now. It's just gonna be like officially into my 20s. But I felt like I've been in my 20s for a long time already. I figured as I get older, I'll call my 20s like my 12 years of 20s because I wasn't even 18 when I graduated, so I've been an adult.
You've been an adult for a long time before that.
Well, old soul. I was told. Mm-hmm.
Old soul.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Also on that voice message that it was just on my voice app because we just recorded it on my phone. But now we got headphones, we got mic stands, 2 microphones, a whole laptop, a mixer, and all kinds of stuff.
We're high-dollared.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, I dropped not a pretty penny. It was like a 5 out of 10 penny. It was fairly priced stuff. I also bought it on Black Friday. It was just a few $100 for all this. The laptop was a completely separate purchase, but a little starter kit, my OG podcast equipment was just all these things. And shout out to Sweetwater. Very, very nice guys over there. But I learned a lot about Papaw in that recording. And well, there's for sure. Well, let's because I want to make sure these stories get eternalized. When Papa was really young, third grade, I believe you said, something very important to the rest of his life happened involving a older brother and a BB gun.
Yep.
Now, would you care to just take it away on that story? Because
Well, let's see. They were outside playing, And I think Jack, which is your papa,
That's right.
had ducked down to hide from his brother Jim.
They call him Creeper.
Creeper.
That's right.
He popped up to see where he was, and that's when he shot the BB gun, and it went in Papa's eye.
Not good.
No, it wasn't good. But they kept it a secret from their parents for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
But then, I guess later that night or the next day, his eye started giving him fits. So then,
I imagine so.
then they had to tell about it. But he missed a year of school. Was held back a year because he was in the hospital in and out for a year with his eye,
Mm-hmm.
trying to get that fixed.
Now, do you remember anything about a postman being involved?
It was a post office.
Post off. That's right.
Because they had taken some kind of stamps. They weren't the S&H green stamps, I don't think, but his grandpa had given all the kids these stamps,
Uh-huh.
and they took them and cashed them in.
Right, because you could get money for
the stamps.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And the postmaster was saying, well, what are you boys going to do with this money? Well, we're going to go buy a BB gun.
That was their first mistake, just telling them the truth.
And that's when their mom went there to buy stamps one day and said, how are them boys doing with that BB gun? She said, what BB gun? So then she come home and said, where's the BB gun? And how did you really hurt your eye?
Because in the story you told me like 3 years ago is that the story they stuck to telling the doctors was that it was glass.
Yes.
They were playing with glass.
Yes, and the glass had flipped up and
Right.
stuck in his eye.
Which, for being 8 and 9 years old, not a bad plan.
Well,
It could have been better. It could have been improved. But
they didn't want to tell on themselves.
Yeah, they wanted to keep the gun.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the place in his eye was too perfectly round for glass. And the doctor knew it, but he just...
Yeah, they were like, it was perfectly... It was spherical glass.
Uh-huh.
I'm telling you, Doc. It happened. I saw it happen with the eye I can't see out of anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But, Papa was blind in one eye. That's how I knew him my entire life. So, so that he had a bunch of surgeries, but none of them were successful, I guess.
No.
And this would have been the late 50s, because he was born in 49, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had peripheral vision for a while, side vision.
Yeah.
He could see shadows, but he couldn't see.
Mm-hmm. Because you said in the recording, cover up one of your eyes and see how much your depth perception.
Your depth perception.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I did this in the car earlier, which probably what it was.
I tried to drive.
Yeah. Well, because it reminded me of it felt like when I was growing up, we had like the TV, like the entertainment center with like the TV in the front with it was not a flat screen. It had the dome on it still, which is foreign to everyone, these days, but it's how TVs were. It wasn't a straight, just plastic lens. It was glass.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you go from that TV to a big, it might even just be a regular size standard TV now, but it's like the screen gets wider and you were seeing stuff you weren't seeing already.
Right.
And just for the few seconds I had my eye covered, I realized, oh, this is like square body vision. And then I can't imagine, seeing everything, like living life like that for so long, and then imagine
driving.
Right, but then imagine having that eye finally come back, and then all of a sudden you're just seeing everything you were missing out on for so many decades.
I don't think he could have done it if he'd gotten his vision back.
No, I wonder why. Yeah, it would just be overkill because because he went
He'd
through
been so young.
Yeah, because he went through puberty with just one eye, So yeah. You also said Papa was a bit of a stud back in the day.
Did I?
Because
he thought he was.
Well, then Papa's mom had MS, right?
Yes.
Like when when Papa was in high school, so they moved to Plainfield to be by his aunt, so his mom's sister.
Yeah, so she could help take care of her.
Yeah, and so the only reason why I asked about Plainfield was because on what I believe was the day of your guys' first date. You were third in line, right?
Boy, you remember shit, don't you?
Well, I just listened to it on the way here. Yeah. But
yeah,
I mean,
he had a date with me and two other girls. Tentative dates. He had his choice.
Right. Yeah. But that's just so cool. Hey, but
Cool.
hey, you won. You
I guess.
clearly won. I wouldn't be here if you didn't win.
Nope, that's right. You wouldn't.
Yeah, but you also said I was learning about what the town used to look like. Because was the bowling?
Martinsville?
Yeah, was the bowling alley still the bowling alley back then? Or was that just like was there?
No,
was there
it was a bowling alley.
Okay, because now it's a tractor store. And I didn't think they tore that building down. But then Frisch's was where Wayman's
It's a
is
tractor store.
Yeah, they sell like farm equipment there now.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, I pass the exit every time I go home from Martinsville, but
Guess I need to go down that road.
maybe so. But yeah, it's not as cool as a bowling alley. There's no hang spot. But I mean, I for sure remember that bowling alley though.
Well, but that's just where they went to drag race.
Right.
Because there's a big long road that runs down the side of it. Because the concrete plant used to be at the end of that road.
Yes.
So they'd go down there and race towards the bowling alley, and that was the inline, the bowling alley.
Right. And you said that the Napa part store was still a part store. Like there was like a more of a blue small building, and then Wayman's, which is now a furniture store, was the Frisch's. Which Frisch's is like that's like
it's that new gas station that used to be the Frisch's.
Oh, okay. The BP that's there now. That's a good gas station.
The new one they just put in.
There's a new Shell going to be on Morgan, Maine. Morgan. That's
Really?
Morgan. Yeah. Coming off of 60. I saw it today, and I was like, we don't need more of these. We have we have so many gas stations.
Yeah, we do.
So many of them.
Well, the Inside Scoop used to be the A&W root beer.
Oh.
So we drive from Frisch's through town,
Uh-huh.
around the A&W, back through town, and then the B&K was at the IU liquor store.
The what? The what?
The B&K.
Oh, do I even know what that is?
Probably not, because it's really old. It was a hot dog hamburger stand.
Okay.
But then we'd make a lap around that one, then pull out and go to Frisch's again. You had a continuous lap to run.
You guys were all thin back then too, just eating.
There wasn't much else.
Eating garbage.
We didn't eat.
Oh, just a little hang
That was
spot.
just a cruise.
Yeah, that's Instagram in real life. Because now we all get our social interaction just on our screens.
Yeah, you guys don't do anything. Just sit around thumbing your ass.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I've never put. No, it's fine. You can say whatever you want on here. I've never put my thumb in my ass.
Oh, well, good.
Yeah, I've never done that. Another Papaw story I wanted to bring up was a very, very quick, small anecdote, but it's a staple from Papaw lore. Him and Creeper get up to no good again. Which what they were just like a year and a half apart, something like that.
Just a little over a year.
Yeah, right.
Like
That's cool because it's a little more than Max and I. But I can imagine even Max and I were even closer in age. We would just be, there'd be almost no separation. But Creeper and Papaw had a hammer, and they broke a window.
Yeah.
Well, Papaw broke the window, and
Yep.
then he heard the footsteps from
Running
upstairs.
through the house.
Yeah, and he
handed
the hammer. That's right to Creeper,
And he
Creeper
took it.
Creeper took it, and then Creeper got in trouble.
Yep. He got his ass whipped.
Yeah. That's Was that? Do you think that was before or after the?
I think that was before the eye.
So Creeper got him back then.
Probably.
Which, by the way, what a shot on Creeper though, right in the eyeball.
Oh yeah.
Dang, man. Because I feel like you got to aim for like the face at least.
He was aiming, but I don't think he was aiming really for his eye.
Right.
I mean, I don't think he did that on purpose.
Yeah, and I remember when...
I hope he didn't.
No. And I remember when Max and I got BB guns.
Of course, he went to Vietnam and had to hit, so...
Oh. We had some target
maybe
practice.
That was...
Well, when Max and I got our BB guns, when we were, I don't know, we were probably, Papaw and Creeper's age, give or take. We knew we had a perfect example of what could happen without, the exact instance was with BB guns. And so Max and I always wore safety goggles.
Yeah, good.
Respectively. But
I think I hounded at you guys that a lot.
Probably so. Just because,
Just because what happened.
Yeah, I like seeing. I got good eyes. I mean, they don't work very well, but I mean, I got good looking eyes.
Yeah.
My eyelashes are nice. I was told, but I don't want to, have an eye patch.
No.
Papaw should have had an eye patch. It would have been so cool.
Oh, he wore one once in a while when he had eye stuff done to him, but he didn't like it.
Well, I mean,
because he had some surgery done on it, and that's when he lost his peripheral vision too. When
dang.
they went in there and cleaned it out and tried to get rid of some scar tissue.
Well, what was surgery like in the 50s? I mean, I don't
Well,
not to say like, oh, when did they discover germs? But I mean,
they popped his eye out and laid it on his cheek and worked on it.
oh my God, that's terrible.
He says he remembers it because I think he was.
I thought it was all like precise instruments and like you gotta like zoom in with like a microscope or whatever, or like some sort of like a magnifying lens.
Probably not back in the 50s, but
He just pulled aside.
you can get your fingers or your thumb around your eye and you can pop your eye out.
I'm not gonna do that.
No, please don't.
I will not. No. That's so poor little 8-year-old Papa would just.
With his eyeball hanging on
Yeah.
his cheek.
I didn't even know eyes could do that. That's wow.
Well, they're still connected with
Yeah.
that long,
Yeah, they're like plugged in with like a USB cord.
nasty.
Oh wow. Because like if all goes well, you'll never be able to look at your own eyeball with the other eyeball. You know.
You shouldn't.
What would that even be like? Because I've always had landlocked vision stuck in my brain.
Well, it was probably neat to Papa.
Yeah, but
he likes stupid shit.
well, I mean, it's probably horrific when you're 8 years old.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, if you can still see with one, okay, probably if it's one of his eye was bad, he probably couldn't. But like that would be like a feedback loop of vision to look at an eyeball. Yeah, that's wild.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I never even thought about that. But to have it lay on his cheek, oh, that's just glorious. That's so funny.
No.
Yeah, you don't like a lot of nasty stuff.
I don't like that kind of stuff. No.
See, is there any other Papaw stories? Let's see. I don't think so. Oh, there was the one when you were having your first kid and Papaw won $100 from a drag race.
That's when I was miscarrying.
Yes.
Yes.
And he bought. What'd you buy, Mammaw?
Let's see. Bought new tires for the car,
Uh-huh.
jeans,
Yeah.
and some Paul Harris shirts. 'Cause
Uh-huh.
he thought Paul Harris was cool back then. Yeah. I think that was all.
You
But
can't.
he did that while I was in the hospital having the miscarriage.
Well, I asked you.
He said, well, what else could I do?
Yeah.
I was no good there.
I'm gonna go provide for the family.
Yeah,
and
I'm going to
then
go buy some tires.
yeah. Wow. We could probably pull up an inflation calculator, but like, how far could $100 spread back then in like the late '60s?
Well, this was in '69.
Mm-hmm.
So probably tires were maybe 25 each or something.
That was wild.
And then jeans were probably $10 and the shirts $5-6 or something.
Yeah, Goodwill. That's wild. Because like I remember when I when I graduated high school, it was before I even turned 18. I had a pop tire on my first Ford Escape, and shout out to Chris Helton for fixing that for me when he found it. But then I had to go buy new tires, and it was like I only bought 2 new ones, and those were like $300 at least. Gosh. So the value of the dollar is going down, but I mean stuff's probably proportioned the same, but maybe not because of income. But oh well. Well, okay. So you were born in '53.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Tell everybody how old I am.
You were born in '79.
Yeah.
I understand that it's a struggle to get older, but like you can't help it.
No, you can't help it.
No.
You just don't want to.
No,
but
I
you
understand.
can't help it.
Mm-hmm. Because
Nobody wants to get old and ugly.
right, but whether I like it or not, I'll be 20 soon.
Mm-hmm.
But so you were 10 when Kennedy got shot. That's just a question I ask people who were alive for that because
I remember it on TV.
yeah. So what did that feel like? Because I haven't had any. Because I wasn't around for 9/11 either, so I don't even know what that's like. But you lived through both of those, and I always like to ask people who lived through it, like what their personal experience was, or where they were when they found out about it.
You just felt sad.
Mm-hmm. Well, like, were you scared? Like, did you think it was like an invasion kind of a thing? Because before they
No.
found it was Lee Harvey Oswald, or whoever the people think it's this a conspiracy and stuff like that. But which I don't know.
No, I think the government did it.
Yeah, probably so. Because he was trying to
We got a
knock it.
sucky ass government, so.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're in power, yeah, that makes sense. I'm not condoning killing presidents, but I just it's hard to refute.
When you want to be in charge of something, you do whatever you have to do to get rid of the people that's going to stop you from
Yeah,
it.
I guess so.
Whether it's a president or whether it's your next door neighbor.
Yeah, don't shoot your neighbors. Well, maybe don't you have a bad neighbor
Yeah,
next
I have
door?
a neighbor over there. I can
Yeah, you just shoot
smack him.
Yeah, smack him with the barrel of a gun.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then,
So no, but I wasn't scared. I don't remember
Just
being scared.
but obviously sad, just being
Yeah.
like, oh, what's that's that? I know
Especially when his son was saluting him as they drove him
yes,
by.
mm-hmm.
That was really sad,
Yeah, that's terrible. Yeah.
even at 10.
Mm-hmm. But then, so you were fully an adult by 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
So where were you at when you found out about that? Because like that, everyone was watching the TV at that point.
Sitting at Bray's law office, just got to work.
Oh wow, yeah, because it was like 9 in the morning, and it's
Mm-hmm.
Eastern time, so we share the same time zone as New
Mm-hmm.
York. So
And I thought, what the hell? Well, I saw a little bit on the TV as I was walking out the door to go to work.
Was it the first tower or the
first tower.
right? Because at that point people thought it was an accident. They thought it was like an air traffic control thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And then the second one, you're like, no, that was deliberate. So then you're pissed.
yeah. Did that scare you? Because I
No, pissed me off,
mm-hmm.
not scare me.
Yeah. Well,
Takes a lot to scare me.
Yeah, like crickets.
Yeah, crickets. Camel crickets.
Those damn camel crickets.
And those cicadas.
Cicadas, yes.
Oh, fuck, I hate those. And your brother
Oh yeah, he had
pretends like he's got one in his hand every time he comes in this house. Smack him silly.
How different were Max and I from the get go? Because I've talked about it in English class before, years ago, of course. But like, it was about the differences between are people evil by nature or by nurture? And we were talking about how it's got to be nurture, but then I was like, well, I mean, Max and I had the exact same upbringing, but we're
Kind of like that inherited.
yeah, but like we're just two separate individuals. So I
Yes.
just wonder how much is preset. And I just asked you, because seen us when we were little kids, how much you could tell how different we were from early on.
Well, I had to scrub his head to get him to have any hair.
Yeah.
You didn't have that problem.
No, I have pretty prominent hair. I don't have to grow it out very often, but he got eyebrows like 3 weeks ago. He's probably 12, I think. Whenever he got eyebrows finally, but
Yeah. But no, you were just a sweeter kid, I guess. Max was a sweet kid,
oh, of course, still is.
but he was just ornery.
Right. I just had that premeditated, just like
That Randy Franklin.
inside
in
of him.
him.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry, Randy, if you're listening.
He's not listening. He was on last week.
Well, I haven't seen him since.
I know. It's been a
Yeah.
while.
It's been a while.
When was the last time you saw my dad?
Um,
Was it at Max's birthday party like?
no. Your graduation party.
Oh. May 20th, 2023. I believe. Yep, that's right, math. I mean, are you asking about the date or the year?
The year was
Yeah.
23,
Mm-hmm. Yes, 2 years
I
ago.
guess. But well, he'd already left the house.
Yes.
Okay, because
Yeah.
I knew it'd been longer.
Yeah, because it was like.
But he was
He
at
closed on the house on October 25th, 2022, which was a Tuesday. Yeah.
like the fall before you graduated.
Yeah. Because I remember, because I signed up for a drum competition in Bloomington the day he closed in the house, and he missed my slot time because he was in Mooresville, Brooklyn area, trying to get to Bloomington. They'd be like, "Can I wait for my pops to get here?" It was more like "All right, here we go." Yeah, that was fun. If you guys want to watch that, it's on my Instagram. From 2.5 years ago, whatever. But I just remember that day very well because I had to leave Cinderella musical rehearsal like before I wanted to, to get to Bloomington on time, and I got there. I was like, that was neat. But yeah, I remember that being the day. So yeah, so it was. That's when he moved down, like September, October, I think. But
well, your party was the last time I've seen him.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's been 2 years then. Wow. Well, it's, I'm
not gonna smack him if I see him again.
No, I know, but I've settled everything where it's like it
is what it is.
Yeah, luckily I'm an adult now, and I can just
Some people
keep
are just
that,
asshos.
keep that asshos. Like an ass hyphen hoe. Like a whore, but hoe, assho.
Asshole. Like a jerk.
Yeah, I understand. Yes. Let's see. What else? Do you have any questions you want to ask me?
Yeah, let's see. We know you like to eat.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about this.
You can put it away.
Yes, I can. And this is actually a really good segue because the last episode of the podcast was a Father's Day podcast I did, and after
that's where you ate so much.
That's yeah, and you don't even know what I'm about to. You have no idea what I'm about to.
I can imagine.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Yes, it was my dad was grilling stuff, and Dawn, his girlfriend, asked me, "Hey, what would you like to eat?" And I was like, and I was craving some baked beans. So I led with that first, and everything after that came in relative to the baked beans, right?
Oh, okay.
So that's for sure on the thing, right? So I'm gonna go from the bottom to the top because I feel like
you have a list on your phone?
I do.
Oh
I
my
do.
gosh!
Because I sat there the next morning because I spent the night and
wrote down.
Calculated everything I ate, right? And only in like this is probably from what 10 p.m. to like 12:30 probably. I went to bed at like 1, I think.
Oh my gosh!
So in about 150 minutes, I put away this much food. Okay.
Okay.
So I ate chips, Doritos, the purple bag before the meal and a little bit after the meal. Just it's basically the starting and the finish
just
line,
a snack.
right? Yes, but that's that's a few chips.
Yeah.
Each, but that'll that can jumpstart your day a little bit. I'm not that you're gonna eat Doritos for breakfast or anything, but it's you'll notice it in your stomach.
The purple bag.
Yeah, it's like it's not. Yeah, it's I forget the sweet chili. I don't know. It's really good.
I like the blue bag.
Blue bag's for sure the best, but
and I don't like ranch.
Cool. What about Cool Ranch?
Well, I like the Cool Ranch,
okay,
but
yeah.
I don't like ranch.
The blue bag. All right. So then I also had 2 servings of the dessert that Dawn had prepared. It was it was like strawberries and custard and cake and whipped cream, and I had a very big bowl of that, and then a little smaller size bowl, but it's still a good helping. She made she called it Oriental coleslaw. I'm not sure if that's politically correct, but there was ramen noodles and like like raw. I don't know, but it had like coleslaw. It was good little grub. But I had 2 helpings of that. I had 4 helpings of macaroni and cheese.
Oh my.
Which was very good. Then I had 3, we already said this earlier, 3 helpings of baked beans. And here's where you got to strap in, all right?
You farted all night.
Every bean made one fart, 1 psi in my colon. Then I had there was bacon on top of the baked beans, so we had a little leftover bacon. So I had 2 strips of those bacons.
Love bacon.
Yes, and I had 2 hot dogs. Okay, and then I had 2 brats.
Hate those.
I love brats. Ugh. So good. And then I had 2.5 cheeseburgers.
Oh my gosh!
I know.
Oh, Luke.
And then the next morning,
how many calories?
Oh, I don't even want to know the number, but it's got to be at least like 4,000 probably. It was just so much. It might not. We're recording this the Thursday after of that Saturday. It might not be out of my body yet. Father's Day was this was June 14th. This day is June 19th. Juneteenth.
5 days.
Yeah. So
Juneteenth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever.
Let's leave our political ideologies at the door, man. Well, there we go. We talked earlier over some pizza that I brought from Greeks.
Crazy holiday.
Yeah. Yeah, it gets wicked, doesn't it? But yeah, I don't know where I got my appetite from. I've always had one.
Yeah.
And I
What was it your Uncle Nick said? You could drink a bottle in 33 seconds and scream for another one.
Yeah, something. Yeah, an 8-ounce bottle. Yeah, and I'd just still be upset about it.
Take 2 or 3 to get you quiet.
Mm-hmm. I don't know where I put it because I've there's been times where I've been a little just like chunkier than I wanted to be, and I've done stuff to prevent that at this point. Because I remember one time
You've never been chunky.
Well, I just like I've been tall, but if I had if I had shorter legs, you'd be like, oh, this got a little bit of a belly on him, huh? Doesn't he? But now I try to take care of my body, and I will try to schedule out those big old pig feasts I'll have every now and then. But it was commemorative. It was Father's Day, I was celebrating, and and that grill worked. All just having meat around, just so good.
Yeah, it's better when you cook out.
But I remember I was at the pediatrician's office, like the last time I was ever in there. It was because 6 months after that I would be just turned 18, which they're not gonna accept me after that.
Yep. And
I got on the scale and I was weighed at 206, I think. And I was like, oh.
I've never weighed 200 pounds.
No, and I was like, that's a dang. All right, well. But the cool thing about that was that when Max and I got back into the office, Dr. Laughlin, I talked about him in the last episode.
Yeah.
I forget which half it was, but he's always been a very chill pediatrician guy. But basically, Max and I were just like, whatever problems we have, we're like, yeah, we know it's our fault. I probably should be, getting out and about and, taking care of myself more. And he was like, oh, this is very refreshing to hear, because usually children your guys' age just like, they want to, they want to shift the blame and all that. But it's like, it's very nice to hear you guys are going to make some changes. He didn't care about how much, he's just doing his job. But he does see a lot of the, young humanity, and I'm sure he's seen a lot of the change since, social media. He for sure.
Oh yeah.
He's someone I'd love to interview. That'd be great. What if I get in touch with him somehow? But since
or Dr. O'Neill.
Ooh, that's a great idea.
He loves you guys.
I know. That's on my optometrist.
Matt could go and do backflips for him.
Oh yeah, and then he would always have a pocket knife on him. Dr. New would have, and just like threaten to cut Max's locks off.
Yeah.
He'd never get close. Yeah, he would never get all the way out, but he'd be like, I got a knife in my pocket.
I'll cut them curls.
That's right. But since then, I've lost at least 20 pounds since then. But I've tried to turn it back into muscle, so I want to get a little more.
So you're still going to the gym,
right? Which we've been to the gym before.
Oh yeah.
A few times. Maybe only once. I don't know. We definitely went to Planet Fitness once. And do you remember what happened when you first got there?
They made me take my picture, didn't they?
Yes, but do you remember what room you went into?
The men's.
That's right.
I was just following you.
I know. No, but I did say, I was like, all right, man, I'm going to go to the men's locker room. The ladies' locker room right there.
I don't care.
Yeah, you kept saying that, but it's not about you caring. It's about everyone else in there. Luckily,
them men wouldn't care.
But they'd be a little caught off guard.
I doubt it.
They're walking back from the shower with a towel around their waist, and they see a woman holding a purse.
They'd probably flash me. Woohoo, look at me. I'd say, what? What am I looking
at? Well, luckily that didn't happen.
No.
But that was just a little...
Well, you weren't listening to me. You couldn't hear me, so I just went in there and hollered louder.
I know. That was like at least a year and a half ago, because I remember it was...
Yeah, I need to go back over there. I probably lost my membership.
Maybe so.
Because I haven't been in there.
Have you been going to Anytime Anytime Fitness?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've got both. And I bet I could go in there right now and I'd be fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I need to see.
What all you hitting in there? Get on the treadmill, get on the
bike, the treadmill.
Doing like 9 pull-ups at a time?
Nope.
No
pull-ups.
Guess you lost it. Used to do pull-ups all around me. Total lie. I'm just lying to you right now.
Yes, you are. I mainly do the legs and some of the, I don't know what you call them, pull downs.
Yeah.
And arm things.
I really need to focus on my legs a little more, because I just never hit them ever. Mm-hmm. I'm always an arm, upper body focused guy. Sometimes
because you use that more.
For sure, for drums and all. That's kind of why I wanted to get the gym in the first place, so I could look more comfortable and look fit when I'm behind a drum set. Because I can't wear a shirt all the time. I'll hyperventilate. I'll be done.
Mm-mm.
You've seen me play before. I get,
Yep.
yeah. Very sweaty.
Oh yeah.
Very, very
Especially
sweaty.
if you're sitting there in the sun.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Wouldn't be as bad if you had a roof over you.
Roof and like a fan behind me and some steady water. But, yeah. I never passed out playing. I've never gotten to that point. But I've been gassed before. I'm just like, all right. That's about all I got. 2 more songs. Oh, okay. Oh, God. The last show I played was in April. It was with my old band Tinted Plates, and we did like, I don't know, hour and some change maybe. And when I would play the set list at home in the garage, Mama's garage, that is, I would have trouble getting to the end of it. But then luckily I can usually coast off adrenaline during shows, but it's hard to emulate when I'm at home. So what I have to do is I have to over prepare. That way I know I can do it without the crowd, and when the crowd's there, then I have that much more juice to get to the finish line. So, but then because of the crowd's there, I do a little more than I would in my garage, so it kind of all neutralizes. But yeah, that's why I go to the gym, and just general wellness.
Yeah. I'm down to 2 days a week, sometimes 3.
That's good though.
I was going every day, but I got tired of it.
Did you do it anytime before? Was this your first chapter of gym in your life?
I just went after Papa died. I just figured I shouldn't be sitting in this green chair forever.
Good green chair though.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to replace it.
Use your heating pad on it still, because I remember.
Oh, it's still here.
Okay, good. Because since I'm old enough, would I be allowed to use the
heat pad?
Well, the hottest setting, because usually you're like, do not turn, because I would take a nap with it, and you'd be like, you're gonna burn your skin off. I was like, but it's so nice.
I always use the highest setting.
Yeah, of course.
And I've burnt myself, but it's all right.
It's all right.
Yeah.
You get whatever. It's just skin.
Yeah.
It'd be okay.
Yeah, I'm tough.
Yeah. Tough Mammaw.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think I got all the.
Well, you asked me more than that in that first interview.
Yeah, but they were all just kind of. They weren't questions that I prepared. They were questions I had to get off a document, and I would pick the ones I wanted. Oh, whatever. But we're doing whatever we want now. Let's see. What else do you want to? Besides my dietary habits,
because your mountain of food.
That's right. Yeah, I can't. If it was all laid out in front of me, then
How about last night? How much did you eat?
Oh, okay. Well, I came over. Oh, yeah. Let's talk about yesterday, because I had. Oh, what a day that was.
Yeah.
If anyone was on my Instagram or my Snapchat
we were supposed
story,
to do this last night.
That's right. But
the storm.
That's true. But the storm came through. Let's see. So, I left work around 4:05 p.m. Right, and I clock out at 4, and at 4:07 I get a little alert on my phone, and it says severe weather about to happen. And as I get that, it was really weird how well it turned out. It started pissing rain, just like pissing rain, and then it was starting to rain sideways. And you know how sometimes like in like storms, like the showers, it won't be like raining for like a whole sheet of rain. It'll be like a little bit here. Whoosh, whoosh. It was like just chaotic. And I couldn't see in front of me. I just slowly saw the showers come in and the clouds. And it was so humid and hot. I was like, tornado watch for sure. So I almost thought about turning around and going back to my work parking lot, just sitting there. But I had to go get gas. I was at like 38 miles left in the tank, which I knew was going to give me enough to get to Martinsville, where I can then get gas with my Circle K Rewards membership, save a nickel on every gallon of gas I spend. So I was trying to focus on that. By the way, there are 2 Circle Ks in Spencer that I pass every time I leave. That I choose which one I want to use, but because of the storm, I was like, I don't want to get out in this. Plus, it's going to be packed, and I want to deal with that traffic, especially with it being rained out. So I was like, I'll just get on 67, and I'm sure it'll be okay by the time I get to Martinsville. Much more, I don't know, apt to driving around there anyway.
Yeah.
But I don't even get to 67. I have to pull over to a separate large parking lot in Spencer, and I wait the storm out, which I thought was a pretty smart thing I did. Because, what is that? Sirens?
Yep.
That's my ride.
Coming down Main Street.
Yeah, that's loud.
Yeah.
I can't believe the microphones are picking that up.
This window's open a crack.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, wild. So, luckily, I did pull over because I had a premonition of me just being like, I can make it to Martinsville. But I was like, look, how stupid would you feel if you just hydroplane, or dare I say,
Or run into somebody
exactly,
that you
right?
couldn't see.
I'm like, it's just not worth it. The gas can wait. Plus, you can just get gas in a minute at Circle K. You just passed and you'd be fine. But then I was like, no, Mammaw's waiting on me. So the storm passed, and I get back in my car and I go on to the road. And then I check my mileage, and it dropped from like 38 to like 24. I was like, what the hell? That shouldn't happen. That's like 14 miles I didn't even get to use. And I had my car off. So now I'm like, well, maybe I should get gas in Paragon. And then I realized, I was like, oh, I guess I can get gas at the ones I pass on 67 through Gosport at the T and stuff. But those are just 20 cents more per gallon. I was like, and I'm trying to save money. And usually, for a while, Paragon's had $2.99 flat, no matter what the other prices are. So I was like, I'm going to Paragon. So I was like, I think I have just enough gas to get to Paragon. And my mileage is slowly climbing down. But I get to Paragon. Guess how many miles I had left in my tank? I had one mile left in my tank. And as I just coast into Paragon. As I pull into Paragon, what do I know? The power's out in Paragon, which means I cannot access the gas pump. I cannot pay for anything. I sit there in destitute in Amish country. And so then I'm thinking, oh man, Mammaw and I are never going to do this podcast today.
No.
But luckily, Max, we mentioned him earlier, he rescued me and all that, so we're fine. Also, those who have a Ford Escape, the way that current gas tanks are set up now,
I have one.
There's two. You have to pass through two different gauges in order to get fuel into the tank. Max and I did not know this, so we're just pouring gas into the first one, the first chamber. It's basically a gas hymen. You got to break the gas hymen, and we didn't know that.
It has to go clear in past
right.
that.
But then we found out through a Google search that there's a little funnel back by your spare tire. You just shove that thing in there, boom, now you have access. I was like, thank God I discovered that. Because Max was just going to leave my car at Paragon. We're just going to go to go to your house together. Now, your original question was, how much food did I eat yesterday?
Well, because we decided not to do the podcast.
That's right. We're like, it's just not. Mom was going to make dinner, so it's just not going to be worth it.
Because it took her a while to get there because the roads were closed. She had to go a different direction.
She was going to try to grab gas for me at the house too, but it just didn't work out that way. But I get here safe and sound with the full tank of gas. I go to Circle K. It just took me 2.5 hours more than I wanted it to. And we have hot dogs and macaroni and cheese and potato salad and
strawberry shortcake.
That's right, some more dessert for me. And dare I say, pretty reminiscent of the meal I had the Saturday right before. And I think because I'd eaten all of that food, I was like, oh, this is I'll make sure you don't want to waste any food. And I feel like that's a psychological thing I have where it's like, I don't want to waste any food.
Sure. That's what most people say.
I'm going to eat all of it. It's very wasteful. I'd rather put my body as opposed to wasting it.
I can go to the gym.
Right, exactly. I'll burn it off. It's fine. But it does get me into trouble. So the way these hot dogs, it's a very geometrically savvy hot dogs we had yesterday. So you cut them all in half, the way we can grill them better. So then each of the buns were actually more like hoagie buns.
They were like mini sub buns.
Yes, mini sub buns. And so each sandwich got 3 halves of a hot dog. So if you eat 2 of them, you eat 3 hot dog links in total. But each hot dog patty bun sandwich thing is only 1.5 hot dogs.
Then you had half of mine that I didn't
That's right.
eat.
I had 2.5.
2.5.
Yeah.
Of those big sandwiches.
2.5 times 1.5. Oh, that's 7.5. Let's do that math real quick. I'm not sure if that's correct.
No, it'd be like 4.5, wouldn't it?
Yes. Yeah, what am I thinking? Yeah.
I don't know.
No, you're right. Let me check it one more time. 1.5 times 2.5. 3.75, I guess. I guess that makes sense because 15 times 3 is 45, and to split the difference between 30, yeah. All right, I basically had 4 hot dogs, and then I had a couple helpings of the potato salad, some macaroni and cheese, and
the strawberry shortcake.
Yeah. But saying that after the list I gave earlier sounds like nothing. Oh, I handled that just fine. And then I went to the gym.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were they open?
They were, yeah. They closed at 11.
They had electricity?
Yep, they're all good.
See, mine never closes.
Yes. Well, the one in Bloomington is like that, but Martinsville, they just don't have staff for it, but it's fine. I do wish they could stay up open later on Sundays, but you want to know what I did at the gym, though? ran into these two ladies that I went to school with in high school. Shout out Macy and Haley. They were on the treadmill together, and then
Macy.
Not that Macy.
Macy?
Not my ex-girlfriend Macy.
Okay.
I've mentioned her on the podcast many times before, so
Okay.
it's fine. Her and I are cool. Different Macy. I mean, this is Macy with an I, right?
Okay.
Not a Y. Big difference.
Macy I.
Yes, Macy and I were in the same grade. I met her in like 6th grade, and then her friend Haley I knew just through loosely. But I caught up with them a little bit in like the ab section, and then I was working on like the lower back machine. I was putting a 150 on that thing and doing sets of 20 on it. So I did 2 of those. That's 40 times 150. That is 6,000 pounds. My back move last night.
Wow.
I think that's how that math works. But while I was doing that, Macy and Haley wanted to get my attention, and they're like, Luke, and I didn't hear them because I had a podcast going on or whatever. And then and then they start waving their hands at me, and I'm like, what? So we had just got done talking, so I'm like, what did I miss? So then they asked me this like question about bench pressing, which I'm like, I'm no gym teacher, I don't know what to do. But then all that really was it was just a way for them to ask me to favor. They wanted me to go talk to one of the cute gym guys who worked there, and they were like, you should go ask him what his name is first of all, and then ask him if he has a girlfriend or not. And you remember when I was much younger and very bashful. Do you remember what element of my life changed that?
Well, band.
That's exactly right. I forget if I brought it up to you.
There.
Yeah, I think I brought this up on the last episode, but a bunch of your friends from Florida or California were in the kitchen with me, and I was telling them, like, just ranting about the school system and how I thought it was so stupid, and you were watching me do this and entertaining the entire. I was captivating for some reason, but I was about to turn 14. I wasn't even 13. I was still 13. But this is a whole year of drumline changed me into this type of a Luke Franklin. And I remember after I was done, you were like, boy, that band's changed you a lot, hasn't it? And so I say that to say that at this point, I want to be like the antithesis, the complete opposite of what I used to be as I get older. And so I have noticed that I have this ability to just, if I give enough mental effort to think about someone, I'll eventually interact with them, however it works, right? And I've had pretty much a 100% success rate with that. So some dude at the gym who I found out was younger than me, easy to talk to. But I was like, this is like a complete breach. He had his headphones on and everything. So at the gym, it's kind of weird culture. You got to go in there with like a plan. But I just like walked over there and pointed at him. And he was like, oh. It's like that addressed that I wanted to interact with him. And so we actually ended up talking about comedy because I never actually talked to him before. But I shook his hand,
Yeah.
But remember, I'm on a mission, so
Yeah.
I can't get distracted. But he's like, yeah, one of the guys said you're a comedian, right? And I was like, kind of, whatever. I do stuff on the side. Me? No, I just host a cool show in Martinsville. Brought comedy to Martinsville. No big deal. Whatever. Then I'm like, oh, by the way, and I was so not stealthy about it at all. I was like, the girls I was talking to over there, they want to know if you have a girlfriend or not. And so I get the details and I come back. Yeah, he was cool about it. He was like, yeah, unfortunately I do. But that was a lie. He didn't have a girlfriend.
You lied to them?
No, here's what happened.
He said, tell him I do.
I eventually told the entire truth, but I was told to lie. But it just doesn't agree with my system. I take a certain amount of fuel. The line's not enough fuel, So he told me, hey, my name's Mason. And I was like, nice to meet you, Mason. What do you want to name your fake girlfriend so I can go tell them? And he was like, I don't know. I was like, should we make it kind of campy? Like, should it rhyme? Should it have the same letter as yours? And he was like, I don't know, call her Graceland. And I was like, okay, Mason and Graceland. Okay, perfect. That's like Elvis's home, right? So cool. I thought he came up with that. I thought it was pretty quick on his feet, right? So I'm like, hey, dude, I appreciate it. I'll let you know about comedy stuff. Nice to talk to you and everything. Thank you very much. Just very chummy. I go back over there and I'm like, hey. So I found out he does not. Oh, no, I think I said he is not single. That's what I said. Basically, I said that, and then I was like, he does not have a girlfriend. He has a boyfriend, which is a total lie. I came up with that on the way talking over to them, right? So I throw them under the bus when I'm talking to him. I throw him under the bus when I'm talking to them because they should have been involved me at all. So I was like, I'm gonna have fun with this, right? So I had fun with that. Then they were like, "What?" And I was like, "No, he's straight, but he is. He does have a girlfriend though." And knowing that was a lie, it just didn't come out right. And they were like, "What's her name?" And I was like, "Graceland." His name's Mason, by the way. Isn't that kind of funny how their names were on? I just gave it away all of a sudden. And yeah, so that was, they caught me. They were like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, he just wasn't interested."
You're ugly, girls.
Well, they're not ugly, but just he was just like, yeah. Actually, what he did say, I was like, those girls were there want to know if you were single or not, and he goes, which one? And I was like, I don't know how to answer that question for you. He's like, just tell them I have a girlfriend. And I was like, okay, great. But what I have found is that when I want to talk to a girl across the room who I'm like, I don't know who she is, I'd like to know who she is. Mm-hmm. That's a much bigger obstacle than to do that for someone else. Because it's not, it's like using someone else's money. It's like, I don't care. I'm not paying for this. It's whatever. It's just, it's not going to go back on your reputation. But the idea that I can just go over there and initiate a conversation, with that in mind means I can do that for myself too. So I'm trying to trick myself into doing that whenever the time is right and all that. But you understand what I'm saying? Where it's like, I should take the wingman mentality to myself and be my own wingman. That's how I think it's how the confidence starts, right? Mm-hmm. But for me growing up, if I was like 9 or 10 or 11 years old, do you think I would ever talk to a stranger just because? No, I would not. I would be doing card tricks and using your Wi-Fi. You didn't even order your
own menu.
I know.
Till you were probably 12.
Then. Little did you know, I became a server.
Even Max would say, "Ask my mom what I want."
Yeah, no, but he was always just clueless. He was like, "Mama knows what I want." Yeah. But I would always, I'd want to pick out.
You were always afraid.
Well, I also had my own idea of what I wanted. Max was like, "Mama will give me whatever I need." I was like, I would like to choose everything. I just don't have the moxie to talk to people. Mm-hmm. And also, waitresses are usually cute. That's kind of they use that to their benefit. So, and that intimidated the hell out of me when I was younger. Mm-hmm. Now that's like nice.
Now you say, "Wait a minute, come here, tell me about this menu."
Yeah, I actually have done that. I want to hear that story. I forget if I told you this or not. There's a little phenomenon. I need to. That's a word. Phenomena.
Phenomena.
Phenomena. I think phenomenon is like plural. Basically, you and I have had several talks about relationships and how you shouldn't jump into sex right away because that's not good. That screws up women's brains and everything. So
I think you love them.
That's right. Yes, and you made that very clear to me. And I did something I did not know from being a young dumb high school boy. And so you
weren't dumb.
Right, you're just naive.
Just
right.
Horny.
Yeah. I should clip that. That's so funny. Anyway, I say that because I haven't been with anyone for like 2 years, and I'm kind of, your words have lingered in my brain.
It's I don't want you to go celibate on us.
No, yeah, of course, yeah.
I mean,
but yeah, you also it'd be kind of weird if you campaigned for me to get some play, where it's like, you want to have sex with my grandson? But you obviously you want to make sure I'm happy, right?
No, I'm looking for it for myself. Yeah. I'm not going to drum you up some.
I'm on the prowl. Will she get you on the apps or whatever? No, but there have been, I shit you not, there have been 3 instances where this has happened. So, the first time this happened, it was about a year. No, it was August 3rd. Was the day of the last Pants performance. Pants was my old cover band for those who don't know. Yeah. It was on the. Do you remember where this was at? This was at the Art Sanctuary stage downtown.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, very cool. We were the middle act, I believe. Yeah, and so what I like to do when I'm in a crowd, there's enough people there, I will find like a pretty girl in the audience, and I'll almost like I'm performing to just them.
Right.
And that'll give me, like, even if it's just a strange woman for whatever, I'll just put my energy towards it. That way, it's like a single man privilege. I get to do that guilt free, where it's like, who knows what happens after the show? Maybe they'll see me, right? And then I'm like, I actually looked at you in the crowd the whole time. It kind of put me. I lost my momentum around the 6th song. We had 2 more to go, and so that's a little opener I can use on someone, right? So
Bullshit.
exactly. You mean bullshit isn't like you're calling me as like a liar, or you mean just like some miscellaneous conversation that can just fill the gaps?
That's it.
Okay, great. Bullshit. Yes.
Give her some bullshit.
Well, there was this girl who I saw in the audience when I was putting my drums away this time. So I didn't see her during the performance. My sun was in my face and I had sunglasses on.
Yeah.
But I saw her and I just kept being like, man.
Where was she at all this time?
Yeah, I was like, I should go talk to her. You know, I don't know where I'm going to see her again. And eventually, I don't talk to her at the show. What happens is I'm making rounds to see everybody, and I start on the opposite side of the field, and I walk around, and then her mom says hello to me. It was like, hey, you did such a great job, and I was like, you're not exactly who I wanted to talk to, but thank you very much, you know. But then I was like, I want to springboard off the mom, and then that just felt weird to me, right? So then I just kind of let it go, and then I drove away, and I kept seeing her, and I was like, dude, I'll kick myself later for that. That was on a Saturday. Then the following Tuesday at the aforementioned gym I was at, I'm on the pec fly machine or something, and then she walks by. I had never seen her in there before, haven't seen her since. I had no idea. So at this point, I'm like, God's real, and he put his angel in my gym. I have to go talk to her. This is my only chance, right?
Yeah, right.
And while I'm thinking about this, she approaches me and was like, hey, are you the drummer for Pants? And I was like, that is, yes, pretty lady, I go, yes I am, and so I'm a little like taken aback by that. That's like it's like a little rock star thing that I get to do every now and then, where it's like someone recognizes me for playing drums. They don't know me, they just know what I do, which is cool. And so that was a very brief interaction. She goes, you guys rock, thank you. It's very cool to watch. I was like, that means the world to me, thank you so much. And then she walks away, and then I was like, I'm not done talking to her. I'm not. But then she walks to the outside lockers, and I'm like, she's about to leave. So then I'm like, as she's walking away, I intercept her at the door. And so we talked for like 3 minutes or whatever. I get her Instagram. I found out her name. Her name is Grace. I don't want to give her last name, but keep that in mind. That's the most important part of the story. Her name is Grace, right? Before I go to the next instance, I did get, not from the guy who works there, Mason, the different guy, Gabe. Gabe's a real one. He's one of the guys that I have been friends with through the gym. We just been the guy that works there. He pulled me aside after that. Was like, yeah, that was good. So I just basically just like, it was like a full confidence thing where I was just like, I just gotta go and talk to her, and I did. It was very, even though that never worked out, we just like talked on Instagram like once, whatever. It was fine. It was more like target practice. I used it, right? So then I brought this up because I said something about ordering food and about waitresses and how cute waitresses usually intimidate the hell out of me. Well, this has been February. My dad and his girlfriend Dawn and myself, we went to go to the movies to go watch the Led Zeppelin documentary, and then after we went to go get pizza. And we went to like 3 different places. They were all closed until we got to Franklin, to another Greeks in Franklin. For those who don't know the lore, I used to work at the Greeks in Martinsville, so I know Greeks very, very well. I know all about the food, so I was like happily going there, right? So I walk in there nonchalantly. I'm just wearing whatever I wear. I think I had a beanie on, just like a concert shirt. Not really like, stuff I would usually wear, but just like, I look good enough, and I just did my beard the day before, so I was kind of confident. My glasses were off. I was a good-looking boy for the night. This lady,
is cool.
Yeah, right. I just felt comfortable in my own skin, like presentable enough. And this lady comes up, and she's particularly cute, and she has a really big, booming personality, and she's a server at Greeks. I'm like, that's already a bunch of things we have in common. And her and I hit it off for a while, but I'm also just like, wouldn't it be cool? I'm like, this is a really good way for us to, they call it a meet cute, I think, where people, it's instead of meeting on the apps these days, it's like a real life, dare I say, old fashioned way. You just talk to someone in real life. It's like, how'd you guys meet? It's like, oh, pepperonis, So this is a little deeper step into me, working on my confidence, women seeking skills. There's a few moments where she's over there with like lingering a little more than she would have, and I'm just kind of sharing my stories as a server and everything, trying to make her laugh and stuff. She's cool. So she mentioned she goes to church a little bit, but she's also kind of cussing and stuff. So it's like she's right there in the pocket where I could speak freely, but she's like a good, well-behaved woman.
Sure.
That's awesome, and she was really cute. And so at the end of the night, before we wrap up, I'm like I couldn't eat. I just didn't know what was going on. I think I had a breadstick, but then I took everything else home with me.
You couldn't eat?
Yeah, because here's what I had planned. I was like, I'm gonna give her my phone number. Usually, you want to ask for your phone number, but I was like, I don't want to see too intrusive, and I feel like that gives her the power. So I was like, if I give her my phone number, she has to text me for this to even work. So that gives me the end where, like, to even pursue it, I'll hear from her that way. And so I give her my phone number and my Instagram, that way she can just see what I'm all about, right? And her name was also Grace. Never heard from her ever. I did go back to that Franklin Greeks 2 weeks later on a Friday around the same time I did, just trying to be a strategic. Go in there. She's not working there. I try again, but with another waitress. I was like, hey, do you know who Grace is? She goes, she's one of my best servers. Absolutely. I was like, well, can you give her this number again? I was seeing if I could get in touch with her because she was very, 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 very pretty. But that was like, still, yeah, that was in February. It's never heard from her ever. Didn't happen. I was like, son of a bitch.
She must have had somebody.
Or I was too young, because I think she was in her like mid 20. I think she's about to graduate college, and I was even 20. No, I'm still not 20 yet. But and then this June 7th, this last Saturday. That's not the one before the time I had the feast. There's a band that I've gotten into since last year called Games We Play. It's a punk band, or pop punk band, and I was the second time I've seen these guys in concert. I went to Ohio for this show, and I drove there, and I was standing in line way longer than everyone else was because I bought a VIP ticket and I wanted a really good I guess view of the stage. So I sit out front for a while. There's a girl in the line that I had my eyes on for a while, and she's dressed up in concert attire. I have khakis on or something, and like a t-shirt, whatever. I wasn't dressing up. I wasn't on a date or anything, but she was too far ahead of me to like get out of line and go talk and stuff. But I was like, we'll see what happens. There was a lady who
what was her name?
Oh, we'll get there. Don't worry. I'm sure everyone already knows. But I just want to build the story up just to kill time.
Okay, sorry.
It's fine. No, her name was Grace, but and this is probably the least. It's probably the most anticlimactic one of the stories. But here's how I'll end it on. Here's how I started talking to her. Right, ahead of her was this lady who was like laying on the ground, like, and she had like a low cut shirt and just kind of. A concert goer, she was, had her like some skin showing and everything, but it just looked like she was just laying on the ground in like street clothes. But then the girl that wasn't into, the girl who was on the ground, her friend was also on the ground. They were sharing some conversation, and she laughed like super, super grossly loud. Like, I'm gonna put the mic away for a second. She was like, ah, like. And it got everyone's reaction. So people were like, what the hell was that? But I saw what I learned to be, her name was Grace. I saw Grace's eyes get all big. And I was like, that's going to be what I bring up to her when I see her in the pit later. So then, lo and behold, I position myself in a perfect place where I am right next to her in the pit before the show starts. And I was like, I was on my way in some weird way in the conversation. And then I was like, hey, by the way, I saw you on the patio earlier. And I was like, that lady laughed really loud, didn't she? Just not even funny, but just something to get the initiation going. But again, nothing happened with this. It was all target practice. But I will say, Mammaw, to rope this back into me being a little young, shy boy when I was younger, like I said, we were all VIP ticket holders, right? Which means we had the best views of the stage. Grace and her friend that she was with, the three of us were sitting in the middle, and we had a really good view right in the middle of the stage. And then these people who were not in line whistled their way from the left side of the stage to the right side of the stage and got right in the middle of us and got right in front of us. And then we saw them both get really happy, and it blocked my view and it blocked their view as well. And they're all being like, what the hell? That's so shitty. Why would they do that? And then guess what I did?
What did you do?
I tapped the man on the shoulder and I go, hey, are you guys have VIP tickets? Because we waited in line for like 3 hours to have these seats. So, if you don't have VIP tickets, you guys should move. And then they did. I didn't get physical. I just handled the situation, and everyone around me who knew me from the line gave me high fives.
Yay!
And that Grace girl had a very pretty smile, and I won her over in that moment. But I knew she was from Ohio. It wasn't going to work. Long distance never works. I'm not going to spend that much time on I-70. No.
Heavens,
But
no.
it is weird that it happened 3 times. That amount of graces. So I feel like...
You don't have very good luck with Grace.
I guess so. And that word itself kind of means like destiny in a way, where I'm like, I wonder if there's going to be more in store for me. Or it might just be a little 19-year-old, Luke thing to happen. Because it happened almost like every, August to February is like what? 6 months? And then, I guess it's not very steady, but like, the time in between is weird. Bell Hoffman when I was 19, 3 different grades. That's odd. That's very odd. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah. Well,
doesn't happen usually.
I'm sure I took up a lot of story time doing that just now. We are at 1 hour and 5 though. My goal was to do an hour.
Well, we hit our goal.
Do you have any stories? Do you have any suitors in the line, or
no?
There's
no suitors
any
for
gym
old
boys?
People. Oh, there's lots of gym boys, but they're all younger.
Oh, yeah. You don't
or married.
You don't want to be a Miss Robinson. With the.
I would, but they're all married. I don't care.
Have you seen The Graduate with Dustin?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a great movie. I watched it in film class. Shout out Mr. Smith. He should be on the podcast soon. I messaged him recently.
Who?
Mr. Smith, my old film class teacher / speech class teacher. He showed me a lot of cool old movies. We'll talk about all about those.
Yeah.
And then you can listen to them, and then Peggy can listen to them.
Oh, Peggy.
Peggy, she's our. Was Peggy and
her husband?
Yeah, where they lived here.
They lived in Indianapolis.
Indianapolis, right? So how'd you guys meet Peggy?
We met him drag racing.
Oh, by the way, these are family friends. By the way, they currently live in Nashville.
She does, yeah.
Tennessee area. But Peggy's gonna be on the podcast later on.
You're gonna talk with her.
Oh yeah, dude.
You won't be able to understand her.
That's all right.
Y'all better get off of them things. Y'all.
I just want to capture Peggy moments while they're still with us, So, yeah. So
she's funny.
So, I guess in the episode, just to listen or just be on the lookout for more Mr. Smith episode, Miss Peggy episode. Miss Peggy. This sounds like Miss Piggy. Like Kermit's suitor. Talking about suitors.
Yeah, Max loves her.
Yeah, absolutely. Peggy's the greatest.
We've known him since '84.
Oh wow!
Right? No. Nicholas was born in '79, so it was in '80 or '81 when we met him.
Oh wow! So Nicholas
was a baby.
Little baby dude.
Yeah.
Well, Mammaw, thank you very much for doing this. I had a lot of fun.
You're welcome.
Thank you for listening to all my long stories I like to tell. I have to give a lot of length.
Well, I think it's time you got you a girlfriend, though.
Probably so, yeah. But I like older girls, and right now it's like I can't get into bars yet, and
well, soon.
I've waited this long. I don't care about.
Well, there's older girls that are out there besides the bar.
Right, for sure. I just don't know if
That's what people tell me.
The deal I made with myself is like I just haven't met her yet. There's plenty of people who will be important to me that I've not met yet in my life. But
well, people tell me to go to church, to get on the dating app.
Yeah, let's go to church to find a mate. I don't think that's right. I don't think God would want that.
I go to the gym. I go to Walmart. I go places. I guess I'm just too damn ugly. Nobody wants me.
That's not true. Because guess what? I have a bit of your genes in me, and I'm the handsomest guy in the tri-state area.
Yeah, you are.
So I tell myself, at least. With my glasses on, it gets a little. But when I get these eyeballs out, these little blue poles of blue.
Glasses are okay.
Makers. Yeah, I like having my glasses. I just wear them to work all the time.
Some people look better in glasses.
That's true, and those people are unfortunate because they need to have an accessory to make them look better, which sucks. That sucks. I've had glasses since I was like 9.
I know.
It's been over 10 years since I've had glasses.
Yeah.
Shout out to Dr. O'Neill. I should get him on the podcast.
Yeah, you should.
That's a good idea, Mammaw.
Yeah, you should.
I'm sure.
He'd probably love that.
Yeah, there's plenty of those things we talk about all the time. Like, because I'd see him. Last time I saw him was maybe like 2 months ago. And we just immediate conversation. Always talking about Max. He's like, "What's your brother up to?" and all that. That might be the way I get Max on the podcast if I bring in someone special. I was like, "You could."
Yeah, he might talk a little bit.
Yeah, because Max doesn't want to do the podcast.
He don't want to do anything.
He
don't want to do.
He was in the room the last episode.
Go to the bins and stand there and.
That would be chaos. You kidding me?
Yeah.
Just record the bins.
But you could get Max to, oh, look at that. Grab this. Or here's this. And catching him when he's making these money deals.
Right. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe you're right.
No, probably not on that.
No. He'll crack one day. Maybe I'll be like, hey, for my birthday, my 21st birthday, let's do my podcast.
Maybe.
That'll be a year from now. Year, and that is, how many weeks is that? How many weeks are in a year? It's like
52.
That's right, 52 in a day usually. Yeah.
Now come on, I haven't been in school for a long time.
I know. I don't know why I blanked on that.
I don't either.
Yeah.
You're smart.
I try. They used to call me the human calculator when I was.
I see some of those podcasts where they ask those stupid, idiotic college kids questions.
Here we go. I should turn the recording off. We should do this privately.
Oh my God! They just can't answer us. How many weeks are in a year?
I know. I know. It's tough. I don't know why I spaced it. I think because I was trying to add 3 to the answer, but I was like, I don't know how many that is. And then you know what number crossed my mind? 1776. Nothing to do with the years. That's just the birth of our country year.
Oh, yeah.
I do know that. I also know that because that's how many folds in the flag there are. Whenever they present it to a veteran's families, whenever the veteran passes away, there's 21 folds. And the way I know that is because 1 plus 7 plus 7 plus 6 is 21. That might not be the reason why. I think there's like a reason for all the folds in it, but
you mean when they do that triangle fold?
You should have one in the back room, don't you?
Yeah. Well, I used to. Yeah.
Yeah, the triangle fold thing because they would do it on Veterans Day every year in Paragon. Yeah.
Well, and there's a 21 gun salute too.
Yeah, that's right.
I hate those.
Because they're loud.
Because even though you're prepared for them, when they go off, you still jerk.
Yeah. That's like at the high school whenever you get a touchdown, they always blare the big fireworks stuff. Yeah. Oh yeah. You know how it is. Well, Mammaw's been about an hour and 12, and that's right around the time I wanted to do. So.
Okay.
Thank you again. We'll do this again.
You're welcome.
Well, something else to talk about later on. We'll figure it out. Maybe if you and I have our own suitors by next time, we can do a.
We can talk about our boy and girlfriend.
Yeah, that's right. Mem and I dating at the same time. How ridiculous!
We could have a double date.
No, that would be nice. Would be nice.
Okay.
All right, cool. And maybe even Mama might find a boyfriend. We might be getting a little out of our league right now, but.
Yeah. A little bit down the line, but yes, she needs one.
Yeah, she's not in any room. She doesn't have any room in her life for one yet. But when Max and her are older, take care of ourselves more, then I would honestly, I hope she finds someone.
Oh yeah, it's lonely.
Yeah, give me a stepdad, or I'd probably just call him like, hey, what's up, Roy? How you doing, Mark? Greg, how you doing, Greg? It's me. Your girlfriend's adult son, who is a whole head taller than you.
More than a head.
Yeah. Well, Mammaw, I love you very much. Okay. Thank you very much for doing the pod.
You're welcome, Luke.
See you guys next week. Next week's going to be Hank Fields. Oh, they're not even ready for that. Oh, yeah. See you guys. Adios. You okay, Mammaw? Did the aspirin kick in?
Choking.